How's it going, people? We're back yet again for a video that I've been asked about quite a lot since the new year started, which was, when am I going to do another pedalboard build video? And it has been coming. It has been on my mind quite a lot recently. I've had a lot of new, very cool pedals, and this has become increasingly difficult to take to practice sessions and rehearsals and stuff. We haven't been doing any gigging or anything recently, not since before lockdown, but it's definitely not going to be possible with a board this size. So, on the off chance that we ever do get to play a gig at any point in the future, I'm definitely going to need a more realistic, practical, small board than this. So it's time to say goodbye to the Terra 42, I think. Basically, I have got so many cool pedals that I want to put on my next board. A lot of stuff here that will be going, but a lot of new stuff that I want to add as well. So I am reserving my decision a little bit to go to the smaller size, just because I'm not 100% sure I'll be able to fit everything that I want onto the board that I have in mind. So the board that I have to go next is, where's the front? Pedaltrain, of course, is my favourite. And this is the Novo 24. So, I bought this a while back, and you may remember it from the British pedalboard I put together sometime last year. And it's a very nice size. I really enjoyed it, and although I bought it primarily for that purpose, after I did that video I thought, actually, this is a really nice sized board. I might actually use this at some point in the future. And that time is now. So, as you can see, it's just a little bit over half the size of the Terra 42, as the name suggests. If I do have this as my board, it means I will have to squeeze my two True Tone CS12s under here, side by side, which may be a little bit of a squeeze, but I think I can do it. And as you can see, there's already some cable tie mounts under here as well from the previous owner, so that might come in useful. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to transfer my power supplies across just yet, because if to do that I will need to drill new holes, and that's going to take time and effort, and I don't want to go through all of that if I'm only going to decide at the end of it just to carry on using this barn door. So I will hold that part of things until the very, very end. But for the time being, I think the best thing to do is to just tear down the Terra 42, see what pedals I want to use, and then see if they will all fit on here. So I think the best thing to do is to just crack on with doing that. So let's get on with it, shall we? Time lapse! Alright, okay, so that's done. Took quite a while, but it's all sorted. Time to get this board out of the way and bring in the new. Put this over here. Here it is. Ah, the Novo 24. So we have a blank canvas ready for all kinds of potential awesomeness. I have so many pedals I want to put on here, obviously, but have to be strict. So, essentials, first of all, you know what's coming. Always top right for Miku. Next, SY200, that's going to go next to it, I think. Top jacks mean I can put this quite close to the Miku, so this will probably be on a riser as well, so I'll worry about all that stuff later on. This is basically just purely to get an idea about layout and how much room I've got to play around with. Definitely coming on here as well, the bleep. Cannot live without this pedal on here. It's just too good, and it's too small to leave off. It's the top jacks, the small form factor. It's so unique as well. Nothing else I've tried does what this can do. So that has to go on as well. Somewhere along the front, I'm thinking. So I'll play around with the order later on, but that's going to go somewhere in that vicinity. There's a big question mark hanging over the octave, fuzz, and filter pedals that I'm going to have in this vicinity, at the front end of the signal chain at least. One of which is definitely coming on here. It is the anti-static from Bleak District Electric. That I'm thinking will probably go somewhere on the front as well. What I was actually thinking of doing with that one is having it somewhere here, because my volume pedal is going to be on a riser somewhere in the middle here as well. So that being, say, here, maybe, means that I would need something this size to put there. So this would be perfect for that job. And also top jacks means I can bunch this right up against the bleep without too much aggro. Yeah, I think that looks okay so far. Might have some issues with these two foot switches being quite close together, but we will come back to that. What else? Okay, other end of the board, definitely an essential. My Ventris reverb, that's going to be top left up there. Delays, again, there's some options available for me to use, but I think I'm going to go with my Vapor Trail Deluxe. I didn't cover this before I took down the Terra 42, but you may have noticed that there was a void on that board. There was a blank space, and that sadly is where the rubberneck used to live. Since buying this pedal, I felt that I no longer needed the rubberneck, so I sadly parted ways after several years of ownership. But as sad as I was to see the rubberneck go, having this in its place is really just making it a lot easier to bear. So this is an incredible pedal. It's smaller. Well, actually no, it's about the same, kind of the same size, but upright. So takes up less space, at least width-wise. Not sure whereabouts to put this, but it'll probably be somewhere there, I imagine. That covers analog delay, and digital delay I'm going to use, well, I'm hoping to use, shall I say, the Mako D1 from Walrus Audio. Now, the reason why I say I'm hoping to use this is because this is currently on in the middle of a trade type situation with a good friend of mine who is currently trying out my Starlight Echo Station from Universal Audio, and the initial plan was to switch pedals, try them out, and then if we liked them, that we would make it a permanent trade, basically. I have fallen in love with this. This is fantastic. I'm not 100% sure if my friend is completely sold on the Starlight, so I don't know if he's going to want to switch back or not. But assuming that he does want to keep that Starlight, then I will be obviously keeping this. So for now, I think this will have to just assume the role of my primary digital delay. So that's going to go there, I think, next to the vapor trail. Hopefully it will stay there and I won't have to worry about replacing it with anything else. I was thinking about bringing back the NUX NDD7, a fantastic tape echo pedal, but this being a board of essentials and quirky, unique pedals, although these two pedals don't really dabble in tape echo, this isn't really a pedal that I used a massive amount on the last board, so I'm thinking maybe I would probably just get by fine with analog delay and the reverb that's in the Ventris rather than having to use this. Although it does have the looper, the sound on sound system in here, which is very useful. I don't know. I think for now it'll have to just be relegated to the sidelines, sadly. But that means I have more space to play with elsewhere. Right. MultiStomp. That is the next essential. That is going to go up here. Usually it's the most convenient place to put these. I always keep these on this style of riser. These are from a company called Diego. Out of business now, I think, or at least they don't make these anymore. Which is annoying because it's the perfect size, and they have this hollow space underneath so you can route cables underneath. It's like you can have a pedal with side jacks right next to it, for example, and you don't have to worry about being able to reach the cables because they're all tucked away neatly underneath. Very cool, very useful. So, just thought of something. Also essential, probably the most essential, got to be in tune. My Polytune Noir. That usually, as I just said about using the risers to obscure the cables, I usually use this plugged in underneath the MultiStomp. So if I put the MultiStomp over here, say just above the volume pedal, which again will also be on a riser, don't forget, so that will be elevated to something like that kind of a height, giving me plenty of clearance over the MultiStomp and the anti-static. Again, that will sit probably somewhere there, maybe over to the right a little bit. I've got some space here, so if I move that up a bit, or do I back it off a bit and put the tuner? Actually, I'll put the tuner here just for the time being on this side. You probably can't see it now, but it's quite nice to have a centralised tuner. And that's going to be always on as well, because I've got a tuner output on the hot tone soul press. So I can have that always on, keeping me updated with how badly out of tune I am. Trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, yes. Red Mountain Tremolo. I do love my tremolo quite a lot. I like being able to chop things up. And this has so many cool features on it. It kind of makes it irreplaceable, really. These I like to keep at the end of my board as well. So I'm trying to think, does it use... No, it uses side jacks. Top jacks are for control, and expression, I believe. Not going to need those, but there is a power jack there as well, so I will need access to that. The D1 doesn't have top jacks apart from the MIDI, which I'm not going to be using, so that can go quite far up the top like that, giving me more room down here for the tremolo. And again, that will go there for the time being. It might not stay there, I might have to move that somewhere else, but one way or another, that's staying on the board. Oh yes, Coriolis effect. Very unique, very weird, very awesome. That's going to have to go on somewhere. That's, if you haven't seen this before, this does kind of glitchy hold, freeze stuff, and also via an expression pedal, you can control octave down and kind of authentic tape stop kind of effects with this. Very, very cool. Definitely going on here. That's going to go somewhere here, maybe. I might move that further up, actually. That might be better used over this way. Possibly. Being the having top jacks means it might be better next to this other pedal that also has top jacks. Trying to think what else. Superego, of course. That definitely is going on here. 100%. So, space-wise, that's not very efficient. I might move the vapor trail down a bit. That might work. We'll see. I'm not 100% sure on that. We'll come back to that maybe. I might even swap these around as well. I might put the tremolo up here and the D1 further down, just to keep the delays together and in one place. That might work quite nicely. Let's try that. Yes, the Superego, that's going to be over here somewhere. Again, that's going to be utilising the MultiStomp in the effects loop, which means I will also need this little guy. I'm sure you'll be familiar with this. This is a little bypass loop pedal which isolates the mono inputs of the MultiStomp, leaving the stereo inputs and outputs free to go into the send and return of the Superego. So, in order for that to work, I need to isolate the inputs and outputs of the regular pedal. Also, this isn't the best for buffered bypass. It does have a tendency to have introduce tone suck to your signal. So it's best to isolate it with one of these, I find, which does pose a bit of an issue when it comes to where to put it. I suppose I could put it somewhere over here. Maybe it might work okay over here, and then I've got space for a smaller, thinner pedal that's just next to it. That might work. We'll try that for now. So, it's time to talk about this little guy. Rock-Right effects I have featured on my channel quite a bit. Let's bring this up to the camera so you can see it better. This is a pedal that I have been collaborating with a little bit with Lucas from Rock-Right Effects, and it is a quad output expression pedal router. So your expression pedal output goes into here, and then you can choose one of 4 outputs to send the signal to your various pedals that have expression inputs on them. So you can then use the one treadle pedal, to control any one of the 4 pedals on your board. And obviously then you can, I don't know, make little labels to remind you which one is which, or just use your memory. So very, very excited about this thing. I've always wanted, pretty much the only other pedal on the market that does something similar to this is the Mission Engineering Expressionator. But that thing only has 3 outputs, which is still pretty cool, but how much better is it to have 4? I want to put that on here, although this is still a prototype, still being worked on and tinkered with, so it's not the finished product yet, and I think I'll probably have to send this one back to Lucas to carry on tinkering with. So it's not the final version. Also, I don't actually have more than a couple of TRS patch cables in my possession at the moment. I have ordered some, so they are on the way, but they're not here at present. So they may get here this week, so I could put this on the board somewhere and then wire everything up so that this works, just to get an idea of how it will perform when it's finished. And I am inclined to do that. But again, it's also thinking about where it could go and what might have to be sacrificed in order for it to work. I might have to come back to this, think a bit more about what I want to do over here first, and then I've got an idea about how much room I've got left elsewhere. Right, I've been putting it off, but let's focus on the fuzz filter section. If you've seen my socials recently, I have been wondering about my options in this area, because I recently, as in this week, received this. I purchased this from Defects in Croatia. The guy's awesome. He makes really high quality stuff. Most of the things he makes seem to be clones of Death by Audio pedals. So the Death by Audio version of this, the Evil filter, is basically, I think, a similar width to this, but it's about this tall. So it's a massive pedal and very, very, very expensive. Whereas this is kind of expensive, but much more affordable, and a slightly smaller enclosure as well. So naturally, I wanted to use this because it sounds unbelievable, and it also has expression control as well, which could be additionally interesting with the side effect. But again, the size of the thing and that being an issue is basically making me think this isn't going to work on here. So the other things I had in mind to use instead was the Dusk for my envelope filter needs. This is a incredible pedal. It does so much. It looks incredible as well. That has to be said. Top jacks, expression input as well, so I still have that functionality. But it also has momentary controls as well, so it can do a lot of very cool stuff. It can be a wah pedal if you want it to be, but it also has all the envelope filter stuff as well, and stutter and hold and random waveforms and different things that you can do here. Also very simple to navigate and use, so it's got a lot going for it. Dr. Scientists are awesome. They sent me this pedal to try out, and it's obviously, while my allegiance and positivity regarding this pedal is subject to bias because of them being kind enough to send this to me, I was already looking to get one of these anyway because of how awesome it is. So believe me, I'm not just saying it. It is amazing, and it's definitely, I think, going to have to go on this board. So that's the filter side of things taken care of, I think. If you look at this pedal, think of the filter section on this is pretty hefty, and then this is just smaller. So I'm sorry, Dirty Filter. You're gonna have to wait for your time in the sun. Coming back to fuzz, I've got a couple of pedals really that kind of deal with this. Obviously, the Bleep and the Anti-Static both have fuzz capability. The Bleep is more of a PLL style fuzz, I guess. The fuzz in the Anti-Static is really nice, but it's also a little bit tame So what I used to love about the last board I had was I had a couple of brutal fuzzes, the proper face melty kind. So I've got the DAF and the Double Doom fuzz from Berry Pedals. These are both incredible, but also a little bit limiting. They're kind of one-trick ponies in a positive way, but also on this board I'm trying to be as efficient as possible and favouring pedals that can do more than one thing. Shh. So that brings me to this pedal, the Poly Blue Octave from MXR. A reason why I'm thinking of implementing this, multiple reasons really. It has fuzz, it has octave, up and down, and it has modulation in the form of a vibrato or rotary, which is really cool. It also has expression input, and it's very small. So there's no jacks on the top to worry about. It's all on the side, so I can bunch it really close up to the pedal above it, which would make it perfect to go there, like so. It also looks amazing. I mean, come on, look at this. Look at this pedal. It's absolutely stunning. It's like a purpley blue flip paint with this amazing glitter mixed in with it. It's really, really pretty. Anyway, that's a beast of a pedal. That's gonna go there, I think. So these two together, I think, will basically take care of all of my fuzz filter needs, requirements. That obviously leaves a spot open in the kind of slightly more normal drive territory, which brings me to possibly the most brutal distortion pedal I've ever owned, the Flock Effects modded Metal Zone. This, if you haven't seen it already, this has been given the Gear Ant treatment with the incredible paint job, shocking neon pink and high-vis rubber footplate that still says Boss on it, if you can see that. That is going to have to go on here, I think, because I don't know what I would do without it, quite frankly. Where would I put it, though? If I move the bleep over, I might be able to do this. Yeah, if I put that there, I can bunch that right up against the anti-static. That gives me more room for the loop switch on there as well. And I can still plug in on the side, because it's just missing the output jack, sorry. And then the bleep can go right up against the dusk. That should work fine, I think. I should be able to still reach that. I might be able to, if I can put a flat enough patch cable in there, I might be able to move this up a little bit more and have it more central between the two, just to give me more clearance with that foot switch. Maybe not, I don't know, we'll see. It doesn't look too bad. Being on the front as well helps. That looks pretty damn good, I think, that section. I think I'm happy with that. How good, though. I mean, not sideways, obviously, but imagine if that was on there. Anyway. I'm going to have to put Velcro on half of these, because so many of these are new and haven't had the privilege of being Velcroed up yet. I think modulation is still an elusive beast on this board. Obviously, there are a couple of things on here that dabble in modulation. As I said before, Poly Blue Octave. MultiStomp obviously carries a lot of effects in there, modulation included, but I do like to have a lot of effects on hand available just to kind of hit on as and when I need them. My two main favourites for modulation, not including tremolo, are flanger and phaser. So the elastic mattress from Past Effects is a nice, discreet, very slim, small-sized pedal. I don't think I'll have too much of a difficulty putting that on here. I might be able to put it right up against the poly octave, but for now, I think I'll play it safe and I'll just have it further over here. That leaves me a space there, possibly for this, but it might be pushing it slightly because the top jacks will obviously need to be accessed, and also that doesn't leave me with a lot of room on either side for plugging in. So I may have to maneuver things around slightly to make this work, but I think it will be possible. I think it's definitely possible to squeeze that in there, I think. So we'll see. I'm going to leave it like that for the time being. Actually, while I'm here, let's see if I can figure out where to put this bad boy. Yeah, it would be nice to have... It would be nice to have it over here, maybe, with the jacks all on this side to make it a little bit more easier to access. But if I do that, first of all, the pedal will be upside down. The foot switch will be up at the top. And second of all, that would also make it difficult to plug in here. It means the jack's going to be on the bottom, which means I'm going to have to juggle some things around at this end. So I don't really want to do that. I'd far rather have it side on if I can, or upright like this. So, what's best to do? I wonder if I could maybe move this over here and have this there. Because this will be on the riser, so I could have this over the top, like so, all the jacks here coming out and going away. It would cover up the 1, 2, 3, 4 there, but then I've got the LEDs to light up to clearly see which one which one I currently have selected. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. And then obviously all the jacks here can be run underneath the sole press. So I think that will work. Yeah, let's put that back there. And for now, I'm just going to go with that. So if I put that there, and then the power jack on this pedal, on the final version, I think the power jack is going to be next to the input jack up here, out of the way. So that will leave a completely nice flat edge on this side. But for the time being, I need to work around this. So that's going to go there. Power jack will be here, but again, should clear the jacks coming in and out of the Superego. So I can have that moved up a little bit, like so. That should be okay. Vapor trail might have to come down a little bit to make room for the jacks on top. Yeah, I think that works best. And then, I don't think there's enough room here to have a full-size pedal of any kind, so I think I will have to put this here. I think that's going to work best if I go with that. Yeah, I think that'll work. We'll see, but I think so. It's filling up now, filling up quickly. Yeah, the count to 5, that's going to have to go on here, I think. Yeah, that's going to have to go next to, I think, the ventris, which leaves, I would say, probably one. Yeah, it's fair to say there's one spot available on here now. And you might very well have a good idea what's going to go in there. It has side jacks, so I think it's just as well that it has the room on either side to accommodate. But the Kinetone audio ribbons is 100% deserving of this spot, I think. In fact, location-wise, it might be better served somewhere further down here because it doesn't have anything on the top and the bottom to worry about. All the jacks are on the sides, so it might be better to put it down here, perhaps. Or, if I move the D1 up, it might be better to use it down here, because if I'm using this for the looper features, I want to be able to access those. So that might be best. Might be best to use it down here. I don't like this overhang from the vapor trail. I'm wondering if it might be best to use this up here instead. These again will all be on a riser, so there shouldn't be any difficulty getting to the. I don't need to use the jack on this side of the polytune because it's just the right hand side that's going to be plugging into the tuner output of this. So that can go right up against the polytune without any issue. I don't think I'm going to use the expression input on this pedal either, or on the count to 5. So I can always bunch those up together like that and just use the top jacks as normal, which then leaves me plenty of room for the ventris. Yeah, I like that. That's pretty good. Ooh, I wonder if I move this down here, which I ideally want anyway, I'd rather have this pedal down the front if I can, preferably side on if I can, so I can get to both foot switches. I'm not sure if that's going to work though. Damn it. I'm so going to have to get myself a Novo 32, aren't I? I can just see it now. It's going to be a necessity. This is why I got a Novo 32 in the first place, because it's stuff like this just kept happening. I was like, damn it, I'm about 3 or 4 pedals away from my perfect pedal board. The perfect layout is in here somewhere. That's what's frustrating. It's just out of reach. I keep dancing around it and I'm not quite sure where it is. This I'm happy with. I'm happy with these 3 in a row. I'm happy with these 3 in a row. In fact, yeah, I think the whole back row is fine. I'm happy with the back row. I think this will possibly work. The phaser might pose a problem in that location, but I don't know what else I could put in there that would fill that space better and also be a pedal that I really, really want to have. So yeah, I think I'm just going to have to figure out a way to make that work with the cabling. But apart from that, I'm happy. So it's mainly just this bottom corner that I'm left wondering about. So I could leave these 2 as they are for the time being, because at least with nothing above, I can have them laid out like this, and I know they're not going to get in the way. Which brings me back to this. So I think this will have to go in this space up here. It's just going to be extremely messy with all of the cabling coming in at the sides. But that then leaves me plenty of room, I think, to spread these pedals out a little bit. I can have those 2 quite close together. That should be fine. Those inputs and outputs just miss each other, so I think that'll be fine. Then I can move the Coriolis effect along a little bit, like so, and then I can have even more room to hit the anti-static foot switches. There is one thing I would like to have on here, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. It's the EQ7. Although this would be pretty much an always-on pedal, so I might be able to put it underneath the board somewhere. I'll have to see about that. If I can fit this under my board, then I will be a happy bunny. Ooh, I wonder, I've just thought of something. I wonder if I could fit it in the gap between the SY200 and the MultiStomp. There might be some room here to do that. These will mostly all be on risers as well, don't forget. So I could move the Ventris along slightly. Count to 5, vapor trail, tuner, that can all budge up a little bit. And then there might be room, because it is always on, it's just going to be left on all the time. There might be room to run the cables in and out from this underneath the risers here, because this will be on a riser as well, but an angled one. So as long as I can get clearance from the angled riser over that input, I should be okay. I will try that. I will try that later on when I come to it. But for the meantime, I think this might be the layout. You know, I think this is it. I'm very happy, and I'm also very, very keen to to try the whole expression routing thing as well. Talking a little bit more about that, actually, the pedals that I will be using for this will be the Dusk, Polyblue Octave, Coriolis Effect, and that leaves me with one more output to use. Oh, the SY200. That has an expression input on there as well. So I could use that. I'm just checking if I've got any others over here. Oh, the tremolo. I could use the tremolo. I've never actually implemented the expression input on the Red Mountain before. That would be interesting. I may have to use that instead of the SY200 and see if I can do anything fun there. But yeah, those are the 4 pedals that I'm considering. It's either the SY200 and the Red Mountain. Coriolis Effect, definitely, because that just comes alive with a expression pedal. It's almost essential to use it with an expression pedal. Yeah, Dusk is just fantastic. You basically turn this into any kind of wah sound you want with an expression pedal plugged into that. And yeah, Polyblue Octave, again, that also does some cool, funky things with the expression pedal. Apparently, I haven't tried it with an expression pedal yet, actually, but it's supposed to be able to do whammy type pitch effects with the knobs set to wherever you want them. Very, very cool stuff. Yeah, the main question mark I'm having is the phaser, I think, at this point. It all depends on if I'm able to move some things down and reposition things a little bit just to give myself some clearance on the back for the cables. If I can do that, then there won't be an issue. Everything else, I think, is basically sorted. Okay, so I'm gonna give myself a break at this point. I think I'm gonna enjoy looking at this layout before taking it all apart, putting some risers on here. Oh, I need to take the CS12s off my board as well and put them underneath this. So I'm gonna have to get some screws out and drill some extra holes in this board to install those before I do anything else. But I'm happy with this layout for now, and yeah, I think it looks pretty damn good. I'm very happy. Thanks very much, guys, for staying with me on this, and I'm trying not to be too boring. So yeah, that pretty much takes care of today's efforts, and I'm going to come back tomorrow and make a start with getting all this put together, basically. I need to do the power supplies, I need to get the risers in place and have another look at fitting the EQ pedal in there, sorting out the cabling for that, and yeah, then I'm free and able to just start cabling stuff up. Hopefully my extra expression cables, my TRS cables, will hopefully arrive in the next couple of days, so then I'll be able to cable this up as well. Everything will be sorted, and then I can start having fun with it and playing through some sounds. Won't that be fun? Okay, See you tomorrow. Welcome back. It is the next day, and I think it's time to transfer the power supplies from my Terra 42 onto this bad boy. It's going to be a tight fit, as I have already said, but it needs to happen. The more time I spend with this board, the more I feel a Novo 32 is in my future. History repeating itself. Anyway, for now, let's crack on with this. Terra 42, power supplies coming off. Okay, so I ran into a bit of difficulty doing that. These screws that I've been using have started to give up the ghost a little bit. They've been removed and put back on several times in their lifetime, and each time drilling into metal that has not been drilled into previously does take a toll on the thread and on the head of the screw as well. So they're pretty much worn down now. I probably won't be able to use these again after this. So as you can see, these ones went in pretty easy because there's nothing really around them. There's nothing in the way to drill to put maximum force on the screw directly from above, whereas these you kind of have to come at it from an angle because there's too much metal on the side here to get in the, it kind of gets in the way. Anyway, so I got halfway drilling these screws into here and decided to just stop when I started to get resistance, because if I screw them in all the way, I'm not going to be able to get them out again. So I left these two completely because it was just not going my way. So these ones will hold it in, I'm sure. They're not going anywhere really. They're pretty solid. That one's obviously a lot more secure than this one, but neither of them are going anywhere. And as I said before, I think I'm probably going to be ending up with a Novo 32 before too long anyway, so I'm not exactly thinking long term with this board. Right, this is the fun part. So risers first. I was thinking earlier about the layout, and I did mention yesterday that I would be able to hopefully squeeze the EQ onto this board as well, with bunching things up a little bit and using risers to help reduce the gaps between pedals. So we're going to hopefully see if we can do that here. What I thought I would do is just have the medium width riser there. Where's the ventris? There's the ventris over here. So the reason for that is, if I have the ventris as far over there as I can, and then just kind of perch this CT5 next to it there. There's a bit of an overhang, but I think the majority of the pedal is on the riser, so it's not too big of a problem, I don't think. I could always move the riser further over this way, and then there's a bit of an overhang this side, but the ventris is wider, so it would be even less of a deal. I think that's going to be fine though. I don't think that's going to be a problem. I will move it if I feel differently later on. Part of the reason why I'm using a smaller riser there is because the Superego is going to go here, and with the power supply on top, I thought if I line up the power supply with the edge of the riser there, I can still plug it in without compromising the accessibility or anything. So I can have this as far up this way as I can and still get the power to the pedal. So I think that's going to work fairly well. What else? What went next? Oh yes, the Vapor Trail Deluxe. I'm not sure whether to put this up on a riser as well or not. I think it may have to. Otherwise I won't be able to reach the bypass foot switch there. Let's go with a single riser here. Again, leaving the gap that I talked about just now. That I think will be the exact right width for this pedal as well. So yeah, a little bit of an overhang, but generally speaking, that's pretty much spot on. Yeah, I think that's fine. Cool. Not a massive fan of how close these two foot switches are to each other. I would normally prefer to have a single foot switch pedal next to a pedal that has two. Who knows, maybe I'll be able to swap some things around later on, but for now that's the best place I think for that pedal. Right, what next? That was the MultiStomp on the riser with the tuner next to it, and I'm hoping EQ on the other side. So let's try if I can put the Polytune there, bringing it further down this way as well, so the jack on the other side, which I don't need access to, is just tucked underneath the Vapor Trail. So that's quite neat, I think. And then the MultiStomp can go next to it there, and then I've got access to the two outputs on this side. They aren't going to obscure the screen of the tuner. I don't think there's gonna be any room, is there, for the EQ when I've got this and this on here. Let's see. There is a gap, but I don't know if it's going to be big enough. Let's see. So we've got. I am going to need both of these inputs and outputs, obviously. Let's try that there. Another medium riser, I think, on that side. Now then, the question is, can I position this so that the jack is underneath? I think I can. Oh man, it would be awesome if I can pull this off. Ooh, it's looking possible. It's looking good. I will probably have to take this off again to cable this lot up, but so far that's looking pretty promising. Ooh, okay, I'm happy about this. And then obviously I need side jack access for the Miku, which it looks like I've got. Aha, this is coming together really well so far. Happy with that. That looks awesome. So, don't know if you can see there, I've got the EQ tucked away neatly just between MultiStomp and the SY200. Awesome. So, next, what else was there? Let's go with this side because I know what went there. So I had the Red Mountain tremolo. And I think I'm going to have to go with a riser on these just to get up and over the pedals just below it. I need to leave room on this side for the return and output jacks. I am putting the riser on this side sideways as well, partly to give me maximum area to get both of these pedals on there, but also because with the style of riser that I'm using, I only have the top and bottom areas to Velcro, and putting stuff on the middle means stuff's going to basically not stick as well because there's only a tiny little sliver of Velcro for it to stick to. So that's why I'm having to go sideways with these. I am conscious as well of potentially using a TRS cable to control the expression of this pedal later on as well. So by the looks of it, I do have a bit of access at the back for that. So that's a good sign. Yeah, that's good. And then I've got access to, I think I've got access anyway. Yeah, the good thing with having the riser for this as well means the jacks coming, the two jacks coming out of the Superego, the output and the return, are going to be underneath the input and send on this pedal here. So the only issue that, or the only potential issue really that I see, is getting to the input of the Red Mountain tremolo. But we will cross that bridge when we come to it. Next, what else went? Oh, that was this, wasn't it? Of course. So, next to the Superego, we've got the side effect from Rockrite Effects. This might be a problem because I need the input access at the top of the pedal here. So I'm going to need to come down a bit here. And then also the power jack is on this side. So, and well, I need to come away anyway because I've got the input and send jacks on this side. So I need to clear those, which puts this pedal somewhere around there, I think. So yeah, it's going to have to go there really, which means the hot tone soul press was going to go there, and I'm going to have to use a riser on that. So let's, even though this is in the middle, I'll see if I can use this on here. Just about reaching this and this. And then of course I've got plenty of access underneath the riser to get to these four jacks here. The TRS cables that I've got coming for these are pancake headed ones. So they're going to need plenty of access here, so it might be a bit tricky. There might be a lot of cabling stuff going on there to navigate around, but again, we will cross that bridge when we come to it. Right, what went next to that? I think that was the elastic mattress, potentially the phaser, and then the poly blue octave. I did Velcro all these up earlier, by the way, because I realised that there were quite a few pedals on here that I was wanting to use that I didn't have Velcro on. So I did all that earlier, didn't bother filming it because I thought, you don't need to see that. I'm not going to bore you quite to that extent. Shut up. So, yeah, that's going to have to go as far that way as possible. If I can bunch it right up against there, I'm still going to need the power jack access there, which may get in the way of the rate knob there, but yeah, we'll see. And I don't really like the power jack being just over the edge of the elastic mattress like that, but I don't really have a lot of choice, unfortunately. Then you've got the stage phaser. I'm still a little bit uncertain about this one. Ideally, I could have this up here and have the count to 5 down here, which is possible, I guess. I mean, I could try that. I didn't really think about that yesterday. Still top jacks, so it shouldn't really make a difference as far as accessibility is concerned, and it would make it easier to hit the foot switch up here if I did this. So let's try that, shall we? Let's go with that for the time being, see what happens. I do want to get the expression pedal access in there, so I'm going to have to come as far out this way as possible. Oh, and move it up as well. I can have it way up here, which is nice. Do I go with a riser for these? I don't think I've got any more. Oh yes, I have. I've got another medium-sized riser here. I could. No, I haven't got enough room to do that. Otherwise, I'd be raising up the elastic mattress as well, and I haven't got room to do that with the overhang of these jacks. So that's not going to work. In fact, I don't think I'm going to be needing any more of these risers. So I can put these away. Yeah, I've got just enough room, I think, for the jacks on the back of the Count to 5. I do quite like that, actually. I think that works quite well, because then you've got two pedals either side, both with single foot switches. Easy to hit them, and then there's a little bit more room to hit the two switches on this pedal. I quite like that. I think that works quite well. So let's go with that for the time being, and let's see if we can't get the bottom row to fit around what's going on in the middle. Okay, let's start at the right hand side, shall we? And work our way across. Now, I did have the bleep underneath this pedal. Don't know if that's going to work now, or will it? Yeah, that's of the two. This is going to make more sense to come down here underneath there. So, although I need the power input for the metal zone, I'm going to have to come down at least that far. There is going to be an overhang, I think. There's no other way around it. It's either have the pedals on the back all pushed further that way, or have the pedals come further this way. I don't think it's a massive deal. it's my own personal weird thing. I like all the pedals to be within the squared off edge of the pedal board, but I don't think that's going to be possible on this particular board. So following suit, oh man, I'm going to have to put some Velcro on the middle there, aren't I? That's there's not enough purchase there to hold that on. Yeah, I'm going to have to put some Velcro on that. Anyway, that'll do for the time being, just to get an idea of where it's going to sit. Stay there for a little while. And then the dusk shouldn't be any problem to fit that on. Can probably come back this way a little bit. There we go. And I've got plenty of room on the right hand side for the expression, which I like. Happy with that. The elastic mattress is going to be a little bit tricky because it's quite a shallow pedal, and it's further back behind the boss, which is quite tall. So that might be an issue. I might have to put a foot switch topper on there, like I've done with the bleep, just to give it a little bit more height, a little bit more accessibility. Right, coming back down here then. The anti-static should fit on there. Again, the output of the metal zone is going to have to be a really narrow ended patch cable that I use in there, and then the same again on the input of the anti-static. So that's going to be interesting. But yeah, for now I think that works just about. And then we're on the home straight, the last three pedals. We have got ribbons, D1, Coriolis effect. Now then, could I Okay, so the mono inputs and outputs are in the middle of the D1. I was just thinking, could I get away with putting it next to this here, but that's not going to work. There's not enough clearance there, so I'm going to have to go back to stick with the original plan for this. Yeah, so I've got enough room, so there's no worry. Coriolis effects can go in there. Actually, I'll do the ribbons first and work my way back this way. Ribbons can go here. I don't need anything on the top, so that can go right up against the red mountain. Awesome. Oh, that's handy. The input of the ribbons is the lower one. Input of the D1 is the one above. So that's useful. Yeah, they can overlap like so. And then obviously I need to leave access for the input on that side, which means I have to come further this way with the Coriolis effect. Again, I'm not a massive fan of having these foot switches so close together, but again, I can probably use a topper or something on one of these just to give me a little bit more clearance for one of them. And I think that's it, you know. Well, hey, not too shabby. I'm so chuffed I managed to get the EQ10 on there. That's amazing. I'm really happy with that. Well, that's my board. What do you think? I'm extremely happy with this. This might already be one of the best pedal boards that I've put together in quite a while. My Novo 18 pedal board, I think, before this was possibly one of my more recent favourites. I just wished at the time that I had a little bit more space to add some more craziness on there, and that is exactly what I've got here. That's moved down. Oh, I've just realised. Oh no, I've cocked up massively. I forgot all about the elastic mattress input. You probably saw this earlier and was like, no, what are you doing, you muppet? I didn't hear you. You didn't say it loud enough. Ah, balls. Okay, so that kind of puts me back to the drawing board a little bit. Or maybe I'm just being melodramatic. Yeah, I'm probably being melodramatic, because all I need to do is come back this way a little bit. Give me some space there. Oh, it's going to be annoying. It's like it's perching right on the edge. So I can put the desk there. Yeah, it's going to have to be like that, I think. It's just this area here, really, that's going to take a little bit more fine-tuning, I think. It's going to be a very, very tight squeeze to get the cabling done in this corner. Over here, it's going to be more complex. The cabling is going to be insane over here, with the inputs and outputs being staggered and above and below each other, and then you've got send and return stuff going on, all the expression routing stuff that I'm going to be doing with this as well. It's going to be crazy, and in such a tight space as well. Normally I've got the Terra 42 to kind of spread everything out, but yeah, that's going to be a job for either tomorrow or the day after. Hopefully tomorrow. If the cables turn up tomorrow with the TRS cables that I've got for this, then I should be able to just do it all then. But at the moment, I think I'm going to be waiting a little while for the patch cables to turn up in the post. So until that happens, I'm just going to have to look at this board and imagine the craziness that I'm going to be able to conjure from it. So I will come back in a couple of days or so and finish this off. Bye! And we're back. It has been several days now. I have been waiting and waiting and waiting some more for these cables. Squeaky chair, which are now here. So I have TRS power. not literally TRS power. These are audio, but you know what I mean. So I got, I think they're 15 centimeter cables. So the reason why I got them this length and not longer is because I have already got one 30 centimeter cable. So that I think will cover me. So I'm now going to have a little bit of a play around just to see which pedals are actually within reach of these, and if there are any that are just slightly out of reach, then obviously I've got this to fall back on. So I might do that just now actually. I can't be bothered to move the camera around. So the side effect is here, and being quite central to the rest of the board means that I shouldn't have too much trouble reaching most of the pedals on here. The question is, of course, which ones am I actually going to use the pedal with? Number one pedal I'm definitely going to be using the expression aspect of is the Coriolis effect. So that being directly underneath the side effect, that's not exactly difficult. I can easily run a cable from that into that. That's no problem. The dusk was the other one. That's all the way down in the bottom corner, of course. And also there's the polyblue octave. The expression input on the polyblue octave, however, is on this side, and the one on the dusk is on this side, and it's slightly further down here. So at a glance, I think I might just be able to make the distance to the polyblue octave. Obviously it's got to come down first, across, and then back up again. But if I limit myself to a specific output on the side effect, I think I should be fine. So I'm going to assume that that's going to be fine. I can reach that okay. Which would mean the longer 30 centimeter cable will easily run from there into the dusk. Feeling around for it. There we go. So that can go in there, no problem. Then there's one cable left. I have no clue which pedal to connect to this. I'm leaning more towards the Red Mountain, as I think I said before, which I think is going to be no problem whatsoever. Well, I say no problem. It might be, you know what, it depends. It depends, I think, which of these two top jack inputs is the expression one. If it's the left hand jack that's the expression input, then I'm going to have a very, very difficult time, I think, reaching the side effect, because it's just that little bit too far this way. Mind you, even if it's this side, it's still a stretch. So I don't know. The other option is if I move the Red Mountain back down here and have the D1 up here. I don't really want to do that if I can help it, because partly I think I'm going to use the D1 more than the Red Mountain, so I'll prefer to have access to the tap tempo presets and all that stuff with the foot switches located on the front row, and partly just because I quite like how it's laid out at present. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. I'm going to see which of these two jacks is the expression to start with and take it from there. If it is the left-hand side, or to be honest, even if I just feel like I don't want to stretch this one cable that far, because I definitely can't use the longer one, because this will definitely not reach the dusk. The other option is to use the SY200, which, if I double check, yeah, the control input is right on the very, very far end. Yeah, that shouldn't pose too much of a problem, as I think as long as I plug into the output number 1, I should be fine. Okay, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go and research the red mountain, see which input on the top is for the expression. I think the other one is, whichever one it is, an external foot switch input, like a remote foot switch. I think that's what it is anyway. So I will look to see which it is, and then make another decision about whether to swap this and the D1 over. Another reason I just realised why I don't particularly want to swap them over is this D1 is slightly wider than this. I don't really want to encroach any more into this space here. It's already cramped. Yeah, the other side of not wanting to move it up is because the input here, the mono input, is a lot further up the pedal, which puts it right smack in the middle of the way for for the Wheelush effects pedal there. So it's kind of ideally suited for cabling where it is. So I don't particularly want to move the red mountain or the D1. I might just forego the red mountain altogether and just have the 3 pedals hooked up. What I think I'm going to do next, after looking up the red mountain, is take the pedals that I want to control off the board, put everything on the table and just trial it in a practical sense, just to make sure that it all works as it should. Make sure there's no gremlins, nothing that I'm going to be surprised with later on. So if I can make sure that it works fine in isolation away from the board, then when I put it all together and start cabling things up, if something doesn't work later on when I've finished it, I will at least know that I can rule out the expression stuff. So I'm going to do that next, I think. Okay, so after some faffing around, I've managed to get all these pedals cabled up and configured as well together. So basically inside here, if I turn this over, you can see a whole bunch of stuff in here. So you've got dip switches here. I believe these control whether the signal is an expression or a CV. And then you've got these little push buttons for each output that do the polarity. Anyway, I've messed around with a bunch of them, and basically they've all got they're all pretty much configured correctly. There's another button here. There's a little push switch just down there that I'm not sure what that does, but it doesn't seem to do anything significant. But yeah, what has become very apparent to me is this is a prototype, it is a work in progress, and it is definitely in need of a bit of tweaking. However, while I've got it here, I thought I would show you just a quick playthrough of it working. I've got a loop queued up here. So, there's a loop going. The Poly Blue Octave is the only pedal I couldn't get to work. I'm not sure why that is, but I'll come back to that in a minute. For the time being, I'm just going to work my way through these pedals and just show you each of them working in a rudimentary sense, at least. So currently we're on output 4, which is the dusk. Now, you can see the LED there, just working like a wah, but it's not. It doesn't quite have the full range that it would normally have if I was plugged in direct. That's a bit odd. So it's not quite perfect yet. But it's pretty damn good. So moving across to the tremolo, That's the other thing on this. It doesn't seem to give me the full... When I back off, it doesn't give me the full slow rate. It doesn't give me that rate. It only goes super fast or that kind of speed. So it works, but like I say, it's not perfect. The LED is not on, but it's working the best that it can with the Coriolis effect, as you can hear with the switch in the acceleration position. You're getting a filtered kind of sweep effect, and if I switch it to the velocity... Okay, so here's a good example of what I mean. You can hear the octave. It doesn't seem to go completely, when I push down, toe down, it doesn't seem to pitch back to the exact spot. It seems just slightly short. And now that I've been through all of these, I'll just show you an example of what each of these pedals does normally. So let me just show you the Coriolis effect. So for one thing, it cuts out the signal completely with the blend knob backed off. And then compare that with the Red Mountain. I haven't actually tried this yet. Yeah, there you go, you see. So yeah, you're getting it seems like you're only getting about 70% of the full range of the effect. So let's go back to this. It's also much more immediate as well. There's no lag, whereas there is a bit of lag when I use this. So yeah, that basically brings me to the conclusion that this is not ready yet. As much as I love it, as much as I want it to be ready and match fit for purpose, it just isn't there just yet, which is pretty fair to say because it is a prototype, as I keep saying, and it's very, very cool that it is working in some capacity. It is doing a little bit of what it's supposed to do, but it's just about 30% of the way short at the moment. But it's so close, and it's such a cool design, and I love the soft click relay switching on here as well. It's so satisfying to use. It's going to be brilliant when it's finished, and I cannot wait. But yeah, for the time being, I think I'm going to transfer back now to my board, and it's a rather tantalising prospect to think I now have space to replace this on there. So let's have a little look at what I could put in that spot now. Okay, so we're back over here with the board, and it's looking quite sparse without just these 5, well actually no, 6 pedals of course absent from here. Yeah, so let's put these back just so we have things back the way they were before. Again, roughly that was there and that was there. There's probably not much point me getting too specific with the placements of these, but I will anyway, because it's me. Right, so what to put here? By the way, ignore these 3. I'm not using them. A, they wouldn't fit in there anyway, and B, they are on loan, so these Thorpe pedals will be demoed on the channel at some point in the not too distant future, so look out for those. Right, what to put in here? What effect is missing? What have I not got on here already, is the question. So I've got distortion, I've got fuzz, got plenty of fuzz. Filters taken care of. I'm covered for delay. I'm covered for reverb. Phaser I've got. Chorus I don't have. I could put the Past Effects stereo chorus on here. That would be interesting. The side jacks would probably make it awkward. Possibly. Yeah, it's a little bit tricky in there. A top jack pedal would be better, I think, just to clear all the... There's already a lot of side jack action going on with the Superego and the Soul Press. So it would be cool to have the chorus on here, maybe next time. Ooh, I know what might be fun. Top jacks all the way. The Later and Later from Emoji Effects. I haven't had this on my board for a while. The problem with this being a 125B enclosure is that it's quite tall, so the height is basically getting in the way of the jacks on the side. Sorry, if you don't know what this is a PT2399 delay. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple, except it also has a gain knob on it. So you've got the basic 3 controls for time, feedback or repeats, and level, but then you've got a gain knob as well. So essentially you can use it to drive the chip, the PT2399 chip. You can drive it into distortion, turning the delay time right down, turning the repeats up a little bit, and you can get a really bizarre sounding distortion out of it. Very, very cool, very unique, and kind of addictive to use once you've started to play around with it. It's very, very fun to dabble and experiment with. It would be cool to fit that on here somewhere, but yeah, I don't think it's going to happen on this occasion. Very sad. Let's keep thinking. This would be fun. This is a clone of the Bumble Buzz that Flock Effects, my good mate Brian, made me in this awesome chrome enclosure. No knobs, no switches, nothing, just a foot switch on and off. That might be quite cool to have on here. Again, it's a 125 size enclosure, so it's a little bit tight with the inputs on the side. But man, that would be so much fun to have on here. Never mind. Again, next time. The EQ. This is a tape echo pedal. As I said before, I think, I don't have tape echo covered anywhere on here at the moment. So it would be nice to have a tape echo somewhere. There is one in the MultiStomp, but again, it's kind of occupied already doing plenty of other stuff. It would be cool to have a dedicated tape echo pedal. I keep trying just to see maybe if there is a way of getting past there, but I really don't think there is. Very frustrating. Yeah, there is another pedal I was contemplating. Again, it's a 125B though, but it's a top jack pedal, and it's basically a vibrato. It's the most complex vibrato pedal that I could possibly come up with. And it's pretty much incredible, and I don't have a vibrato on here at the moment, unless you count the one that's in ribbons, which I probably should. But yeah, that hasn't been on my board for quite a while, and I do miss that thing. Ooh, hello. Let's have a look at this. This might do the trick. The Dan Electro Back Torque. It's a little bit smaller than a 125B. I'm not sure exactly what size enclosure it is. It seems like it's the same diameter or the same kind of size, basic size as a 1590B, but it's twice the height. So although it might get in the way of the inputs and outputs on the side of the sole press, it's slightly slimmer, so there's a chance that might fit. Or I'm overlooking something here. What if I move this? Is it possible? Dare I? Ooh, you know what? That might be possible. I've got to watch the power input there. But you know what? That might actually free up space there for a 125. In which case, forget that. Not entirely, because I do love it. But what? Oh, I know. I know what I can use. Ha 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 ha. I just got this from Rockrite, so I can put Rockrite back on the board. This is a clone of the Earthquaker Devices Arpanoid. So this is called the Robot Arpeggiator. It's just a sequencer, basically. A whole bunch of controls in here. Direction switch. You've got a mode knob for the number of steps that you want to sequence, and then you've got wet and dry volume knobs as well. It's awesome, and it looks incredible as well. Such a cool enclosure. It's like almost mustard yellow crossed with lime, glittery enclosure. Very, very cool. No Velcro on it yet, but that might work very well in this spot, because I can put that in the loop of the Superego. Ahaha. And just looking at it now, just eyeballing it, that looks pretty damn good, if I say so myself. I don't think it's going to get much better than that. So, what do I do now? First of all, I need to add some Velcro to the middle of that pedal, to stop that wobbling around so much. Then I need to add some Velcro to this, because that is definitely going to go in there. And then there's nothing else for it but to cable everything up and connect up the power. Coming back to the expression output of the sole press, I've been thinking quite a little bit about what to use it for, and I think it's going to have to be the Coriolis effect, because again, this pedal just comes alive with an expression pedal. So I think, without much further ado, I'm going to start cabling all this lot up. Oh man, okay. Finally, I've finished. Oh, well, I say finished. I have finished the cabling, at least. Okay, so it's about 4:20 in the morning. That means I've been doing this for about 2.5 hours. Okay, so, yeah, and it's not even finished yet. So, yeah, power still has to come yet, but compared to working out the signal chain and trying to get cables to fit around each other and fit in places and stuff, that's nothing. So yeah, the cabling is definitely the hardest part, and I've probably overlooked something really stupid and obvious, but I don't think I've missed anything. So let's go through the signal chain just quickly. Quickly. Okay, so first of all, the SY200 is basically the first thing in the chain. The send of that is not going very far, going into the Miku. All of these effects, by the way, in the send return of the SY200 are running parallel with the synths that are in here. So from the Miku, we're going out from there across to the stage phaser. That is then running, because I like my phasers before drives and stuff, so it's that's why it's so early in the chain. And from there, that runs all the way back down here into the dusk filter. That then, I couldn't find any longer cable with a low profile end on it to get around that corner. So yeah, that'll have to do for the time being. That just comes around to the poly blue octave. That then feeds down into the bleep. The bleep, that goes into the metal zone, the modded metal zone. Then from there, I found a tiny little cable to get in that gap there. I don't know if that's going to work or not. I made it myself and it might just crap out on me. We'll see. That's going into the anti-static for some fuzzy glitchiness. So then the anti-static is going up back into the return of the SY200, and that completes the effects loop of this pedal. So this still being the first thing in the chain, that then comes down into the EQ7, and then from the EQ pedal that runs into my volume pedal. The Super S2 goes back into the elastic mattress for some flanger action, and then this is where things start to get really complicated. It's the elastic mattress then, I'm pretty sure, comes across here into the Wheelush Effects bypass looper, which is isolating my MultiStomp. So I can use the main foot switch as a on-off for the mono inputs of the MultiStomp, or I can also use a momentary version, like the opposite of a kill switch, that can basically give you a short burst of whatever effect you've got loaded up, which is pretty cool. From there we come back into the Superego, and that again has the MultiStomp in the effects loop. So the send is coming out from there into the stereo input of the MultiStomp, and then the output of that is then coming down, not into the return, not yet anyway, but instead it's coming down into the robot arpeggiator for some arpeggiating step sequencing action. That is then coming down back into the return of the Superego. So yeah, you sticking with me so far? So yeah, after that, so that comes up to the Vapor Trail Deluxe. Pretty standard analog delay. Well, not standard at all really. It's got a whole bunch of cool bells and whistles going on. A lot of fun, that pedal. Analog delay I like to have early in the delay chain. I like digital to come after analog, really. So that's exactly what happens here. The output of that comes down to the D1. That then comes all the way back here to the count to 5. Not the ideal place to put it on the board, but it's got a nice little home here. I think I can access the foot switches pretty easily. They're not in the way of anything else. That then comes all the way back again into the ribbons. The ribbons then comes up, where are we, into the red mountain tremolo, and then the red mountain tremolo comes back into the Coriolis effect. I always like to have that close to last in the chain. And then finally, and the expression input as well, as I said before, is in the sole press. Then the output of that comes up finally into the ventris for end of chain reverb. And that's it. Hopefully we'll be able to come back in a couple of days and finally play through some sounds from this damn thing. Very happy to have managed to squeeze that arpeggiator in there. I was worried for a while it wasn't going to happen, but just about managed to squeeze it in. Yeah, in a couple of days' time, hopefully have all this powered up and raring to go. Fast forward for a couple of days, and I will see you then. Bye! Okay, it's the next day now, and I'm going to start wiring this board up for power. Hyperlapse time once more! And it looks like it's done. It didn't take too long at all to wire all that lot up. It was pretty quick, about half an hour or so. And I haven't plugged in yet, but everything is powered up, seemingly working fine, as it should. So I can't think of any reason why it won't all work fine, but I can finally plug in and test out some sounds. So let's do that now.